and welcome to the Telescope Show. We laugh, we discover God, and we totally nerd out. My name is Matthew Seipel Anderson.
And I am Katie Seipel Anderson.
And today we're talking about She-Hulk, the She-Hulk finale.
She-Hulk.
Which I would say I enjoyed.
It was different.
It was different.
It was surprising.
But not in a crazy way, more just in a lighthearted, fun way.
Yes, definitely.
How about that ending?
Well, first of all, I feel like we should tell everyone that She-Hulk, like the first issue of She-Hulk, was actually written by Stan Lee.
Hey.
So that just gives us like the base for, Stan Lee was the one who was like, yep, we're doing that. The first issue was written by none other than him.
Good old Stan Lee. I miss the Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah, me too.
From the original Marvel movies. Totally.
You know, maybe they didn't try to put him into any of the future ones because that will also kind of be like the end of an era too, as they're like kind of doing like new Marvel things and going in new directions.
Yeah, I can see that. Hey, speaking of different eras, there is a movie made in the 30s, The Wizard of Oz. We've seen it. I'm thinking most of the people listening have seen it, but maybe not. The young whippersnappers maybe haven't seen it. But anyway, in that movie, the Wicked Witch of the West was a green character like She-Hulk.
That's true.
But back then, it was a pretty epic ordeal to be painted green. So she was painted green with this toxic copper-based paint she couldn't eat while she was in her makeup. And then at one point, where they were filming...
Wait. It was toxic enough where just the thought that some of it might get in her mouth while she's eating. Not eating it, but like just eating in general. And they still thought it was okay to paint her whole body with it.
Apparently.
Whew.
Apparently her union rep wasn't around for that filming.
Intense.
Yeah, very intense. And at one point, she was actually burned on set by accident. There was an accident with the pyrotechnic, and the body paint was of such a consistency that it had to be removed with alcohol. And that's not from the burn. That's how it always had to be removed. But then imagine being burned and having to... Yeah, pretty rough stuff.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so she was painted with this toxic paint and they had to remove it with alcohol.
Yeah.
I wonder if her skin was forever ruined after that.
I did read that for several months afterward, her skin still had a green tinge to it, and it took a while for those skin cells to die out and the natural oils to, work their magic.
Wow. And she's not even not like, woohoo, everyone loves me. I sacrificed for people's love, because she probably was not a very well-loved character when she went places.
True. Yeah. And did people even recognize her, give her the fanfare she deserved?
And do villains deserve the same fanfare? I mean, the actors do, because they're good actors, but...
Do villains get fan mail?
What would that look like if they did?
If I ever see you, I will hunt you down in the street, you evil queen.
Oh, man. Well, moving on to She-Hulk. She's green, but it's computer.
Yes.
And speaking of computers, the pretty significant artificial intelligence bombshell that we got at the end.
Yeah, so the end was very wacky. Spoiler alert. We're going to give away some massive spoilers. So Jen meets a character named Kevin. Knowledge enhanced...
Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Knowledge enhanced visual interconnectivity nexus.
Hello, Jennifer.
Kevin?
It stands for knowledge
So
enhanced.
you're the one who's making all the decisions here?
It actually reminds me of this.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
although the second one is creepier for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. In the end, as you hopefully know if you're listening to this, or maybe you just don't care if it's spoiled, Jennifer looks around her and sees the crazy climactic ending battle scene
which is really crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point when I was watching this, I'm like, what? How are they going to bring this all home? It is like, they had all the people there, all the villains, all the people. I'm like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah. So she just decides to break the fourth wall like she's done all through the show and is like, wait a minute, this isn't the ending I want for my show. And so she breaks through into the Disney Plus home screen into an alternate dimension and finds Kevin, the artificial intelligence who apparently has been responsible for the entire Marvel universe.
And she convinces Kevin to change the ending.
Yeah.
Using her lawyering skills.
And so I've been trying to figure out what actually happens and what did Kevin delete? From the record.
Know.
So here's what we think. Todd is arrested. Todd, the head of Intelligentsia. He never did get his Hulk powers, but he still has her blood. But he gets arrested. Emil is sent back to prison for breaking the conditions of his parole. He is not really a straight-up bad guy, even though he was doing a speaking engagement for this group that hated Jen, but he did defend Jen. So he's kind of like this nice guy that's, I don't know.
Kind of not nice also.
He's kind of just...
Maybe unscrupulous or...
Unscrupulous, just kind of
morals.
Kind of along for the ride. So anyway, that's what's going on with him, although Wong did appear again and set him free from prison, so he's still at large in the MCU. Daredevil shows up, which is cool. And then Jen introduces Matt Murdock to her family. But that's not all.
And then, of course, there's the bombshell at the end where the Hulk shows up to the family reunion and he's like, hey guys, here's my son Scar. And that was it.
So that's where things stand in She-Hulk land. And it was a bit wacky, but It
was fun. It was different. It was not really there was a mix of serious and comedy, but it was more just from you feel bad for Jen serious. More like a relational. For a computer being the one writing it, they made a very real main character.
Oh yeah, Jen is on a search for love.
And identity, acceptance.
Things that we all struggle with in life. So she's a very relatable character.
She also was looking for it in all the wrong places, like we oftentimes do. She had those casual relationships that backfired on her, and...
The show is a comedy, but really it did show that opening herself up to some of those casual relationships and moving really fast with people did really hurt her.
Yeah, backfired. And that actually does happen in life a lot. When you talk to people, and maybe you've experienced it yourself, it's amazing how much hurt and pain can be from having casual sex or having those casual relationships.
Absolutely. And as we're watching this show, I think we both just wanted Jen to see that God loves her. And that sounds cliche.
Just wanted to give her a big hug and be like, you know what? You are valuable for who you are, and you don't need some guy to tell you that you're valuable.
That's right. And if you're out there and you've experienced some of the things that Jen did, God does love you, and he wants you to discover his love for you.
Speaking of discovering, I discovered that in the comic books, Jen defended Michael Morbius, and it kind of ruined her relationship with her father.
Interesting. So you think there could be a Morbius Spider-Man crossover?
I think there might be. I wonder if Jen can kind of hop around to the different other MCU worlds.
I could definitely see her having a role like that. So Morbius is going to cross over with Spider-Man, and they have that whole agreement with Sony. And so technically, I think Morbius might sort of be in the MCU now, although they might keep him in Spider-Man corner of the MCU. So it would be interesting to see if they do cross some of those characters over with She-Hulk, but they definitely could. And I think they're definitely going to cross over other characters, even if they decide not to use Morbius like the comics.
Yeah, they have not followed along with the comics in general, though. So I wouldn't be surprised if they also didn't do that. I don't know, it's a computer writing it.
In her interaction with Kevin mentioned season 2 of the show, and she mentioned seeing She-Hulk, or he mentioned seeing She-Hulk on the big screen, which she got really excited about, and then he said, no, just kidding. So what way do you think it's going to go? Are we going to see She-Hulk on the big screen?
I don't have strong feelings. Maybe more like a part of a different feature film.
I agree.
Oh.
I think she definitely will be in a big film.
Wow, I didn't expect you to agree.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think she's a big enough character to give her own show.
I mean,
to.
she's a pretty big character.
6'5". Didn't you read somewhere about they had to bring in a stand-in?
They did.
To help?
Yeah, to help with like something with the camera or orientation of something. When they were filming, they brought in an actress who was 6.5 feet just to help them orient. And she had to wear like a green face, but I bet it wasn't toxic.
Correct. I think it was to help with the visual effects people know proportionally how big to make She-Hulk in the different spaces.
Oh yeah, that makes
just
sense.
to be like a guide or like a reference.
So I found out that information, but Matt apparently knows what that information means.
So let's have a few more predictions.
Just don't have them. So go ahead.
I predict She-Hulk will show up in Loki season 2, and I predict her ability to break the fourth wall has some kind of interdimensional element to it, and I think it's going to become a real thing. And she shows up in Loki season 2.
That would be a good spot for her.
It's I'm kind of swinging for the fence there.
I predict that her and Matt Murdock will continue their relationship. Although there could be drama there.
I definitely see that happening.
And I don't know Daredevil at all. I haven't watched that one at all. So maybe those of you who know Daredevil would be like, no, there's no way.
It seems to be working so far. I think that Jen's blood is going to show up in another show or movie.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't do away with the whole acquiring the blood from the bad guy. Just him actually becoming the Hulk.
I think in another show, that's going to show up as a plot element. It's going to play out in some way, and then eventually they'll get back to She-Hulk season 2 and pick it up.
Maybe there'll be
line.
a whole Hulk family going on because now the Hulk has a son. And
it definitely could end up being that way. Well, folks, we'd love to hear your thoughts and predictions for the future of She-Hulk and the future of the MCU. We're excited to see what happens with the Hulk's son. I believe they're setting things up for Planet Hulk, which is a big storyline, which we can get into at another time. Until then, we love you. Take care.
Oh, wait, there is a conference coming up. I feel like we have to say it each and every episode until it happens.
November 11th, 12th, and 13th. Twin Cities Con in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Twin Cities Convention Center.
I'd love to see you there.
Yes. And you can also find all of our episodes at thetelescopeshow.com. So make sure you check those out. And subscribe, leave us a review on iTunes. It really, really, really helps the show. So we would appreciate it if you would do those things for us. All right. Love y'all. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.